Hello.
Hi, Kaiwa.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, we have 10 more minutes. Let's wait for 10-15 minutes.
Ừ.
Mày mute mày sao?
Okay, we have 1 minute to 7 p.m. But let's wait for another maybe 3 4 minutes. Is that okay for you, Dan?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. There are about 80 people sign up for the seminar,
Oh,
and then I can see some of them go to the YouTube. Some of them is in the Facebook because we are live on YouTube and Facebook as well.
wow.
So some of them went was in YouTube and Facebook. But let's wait for like 3 minutes.
Sure,
Yep.
sure.
Okay, I can see people start coming in here in Zoom and in YouTube and in Facebook. Let's start in 2 minutes. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Feiyu Tech seminar. Today we have Dan Komodo with us today. So, so just one thing about the housekeeping. I will mute your mics from now on, and then if you have question, you can either Dan, do you prefer that they ask the question in the middle of the presentation, or you prefer them to ask in the Q&A?
Oh, they can ask anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have a question, you can ask anytime. You just unmute your mic and just ask whatever you want, or you can leave it until the Q&A session after the presentation. For those who are in the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live, so if you guys have question, just type your question in the chat room or in the comment section. Okay, so as I said, this seminar is presented by Dan Commodore. Dan is the commercial, corporate, and portrait photographer and videographer based in New Jersey. So in this seminar, Dan is going to tell you about the pros and cons of using the gimbal in your video shoots and some of the useful gimbal technique that could improve your next video shoot. Okay, so without any further delay, I will pass the stage to Dan. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for everyone for joining in on this webinar. This is actually my very first webinar I've ever done, so I hope it works out fine. But I should teach you a lot about gimbals and their benefits in the videos. So we'll go to the first slide here. So why use a gimbal? Basically, use a gimbal. The main thing is it adds stability to your videos. So if you're doing handheld, it can be kind of shaky. So a gimbal smooths that out. Gimbals also add a lot of dynamic motion if you want to for videos, because you can actually move around. You can walk or run with the gimbal and get some really nice cinematic looking shots. So that's important. That'll make your videos look a little more impressive. So the things to stabilize your videos without the use of a tripod. You know, nothing beats the stability of a tripod, but just say if you want to shoot, if you got your tripod, you got to do an interview. Using a gimbal will be dramatically better than a handheld shot. So gimbals are very beneficial in that area. Does it replace the use of cumbersome dollies or sliders? Now, dollies or sliders can be big. They come in different sizes, but they take a while to set up. And you have to set them up, break them down every time you want to move to a new location. Versus a gimbal, which can be a handheld, you can just run around and move to any location you want really quickly. So it's a little easier to use. So the modern gimbals have more features and the prices have become more affordable, which is very true. The new gimbals are electronic based, so they have a lot of apps built in either through a smartphone or built into the gimbal itself. And they have electronic motors in there. So let me check my notes on that. So the apps have a lot of features in there, like you can control time lapse, you can control how the gimbal moves, how it responds to your hands. So they've come a long way, but the costs have come dramatically down too, because you can get gimbals start, like a Feiyu gimbal, you can they start around $70. And the highest one's not even $600, maybe $700. So it's a dramatically lower price than what I used to pay for gimbals were in the thousands. I have a video coming up which shows the history of the gimbals that I have purchased over the years. So you'll see how they've advanced. All right, next slide. Next slide. So this is the video I'm going to show you about the gimbal history. So I've always been fascinated with dynamic camera moves throughout the years. I've purchased various forms of gimbals in an attempt to add a cinematic look to my videos. All right, so play the video and you'll see my gimbal collection. Hi, Dan Komodo here. I'm here to show you my history of gimbal purchases since maybe 93, 94. So this is the first one I got at a camera show. It's a very simple device called Stabilize. It uses weights to balance the camera. You mount the camera up here. Actually even has a locking mechanism for tilting around. And to balance your camera properly, they give you these amazing devices, these weights that you just add on here to balance your camera. So very simple, easy. It actually worked somewhat good, but nothing compared to what we have today. All right, the next gimbal I bought is called the Glide Cam. It's actually a very good product. Very light. You mount your camera up here, weights for balancing, easy to operate, and it actually worked very good. Very nice. But I do have another option that came with this, which I'll show you in a second. All right, as you can see here, I have the full vest on. It's the Glide Cam vest with a spring-loaded arm. You take the Glide Cam, it attaches right here. I don't have the attachment, unfortunately, but it normally goes right here. And as you walk around, the spring-loading arm will absorb the up and down motion of walking or running, which helps out a lot. Now, the best part about it is the weight is no longer just on your arms, it's on your whole body. So it's much easier to move around. But the downfall is it's bulkier. It does get very hot in this on a summer day when you're running around a lot. So that's the only disadvantage to that. Otherwise, it does work fantastic. So Glide Cam and the Glide Cam vest. This is the Movi M5. This is actually a really good gimbal. Very expensive for its time. And it's very light. Take it off the stand here for you. Mount your camera in there. It's a two-handle system. As you can see, it's a very well-designed camera, but unfortunately it's just so expensive to keep. All the accessories are expensive. Everything about it is expensive, but it is a professional gimbal, so that's what you get. But it's a very, very good product. It doesn't have the special modes like modern-day gimbals. It's just a basic stabilizer. I got this gimbal about 3 or 4 years ago. It's the Smooth Pro. It's actually the first handheld smartphone gimbal I've seen in this style, more of a modern style. It's got some controls here. But the problem is it's made really bad. When I first got it, when I first hit the record button, the button just sunk in and broke. Second one I got, it overheated while charging. The third time I got it, this little control handle, it just cracked. So it's a piece of crap. So I don't recommend the Smooth Pro, but it did pave the way for the modern looking gimbals like the Feiyu. So this is going in the garbage. So these are the gimbals I've been using lately in my video production, starting with the smartphone gimbal, the SPG2, fantastic. This is the mighty AK-4500 DSLR mirrorless camera gimbal. It's got a lot of great features on it. I use this a lot. Now this is the Feiyu Pocket. It's got a built-in monitor and camera. It's small enough you can just bring it anywhere. And this is the Vlog Pocket 2 brand new smartphone gimbal. So that's it. These are the modern gimbals. I'm looking forward to see what's coming up in the future. And that's all for now. Thanks. Hi, Dan Komodo here. All right. So this is the, I'm going to show you a couple of videos next. This is the first video I did for Feiyu. It's just involves some skateboarding in it. I just wanted to show how the gimbals work with some stability, show some speed, and a little dynamic action in it. So let's roll the video. Hi, this is Dan Komodo, Feiyu Ambassador. Today, my daughter Sage and I are going to do some skateboarding down a massive hill at top speeds. Well, maybe not so massive. Anyway, I have the SPG2 smartphone gimbal. We'll test it out. All right, I don't know if that played back okay. How was that, Kaiwei?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, on my end, it was very jittery. I don't know how it was for everyone else. All right, so next video I shot, I used the AK-4500, which is I'll show you right here. It's their flagship model from Feiyu. It's a DSLR gimbal. It's beautiful. So I just wanted to do a little demo. I shot my kids again at the beach this time, and so just roll the video and I'll show you what it looks like. And after the video, there's a little behind the scenes clip. All right, so things to consider when using a gimbal. The first one is definitely a learning curve. You cannot just pick up a gimbal and expect it to work properly. There's a lot of things you gotta learn how to work with, because the gimbal by itself does do a good job of stability. Once you start walking around with it or even running with it, that's where the problem comes in. So you really have to learn how to move your body with the gimbal to smooth things out for it to be a successful shot. The next one is the weight and weight restrictions. Now the weight of the gimbal itself, like the big one I just held up, it weighs a few pounds. If you're walking around with that all day, or not all day, but maybe in a couple hours, your arms do get sore. So it's just like depends what kind of gimbal you use. If you use like a smartphone gimbal, one of these little handheld ones, they weigh nothing. So you put your phone in there and that's not a problem at all. Or even got these this little Feiyu Pocket. It's light, has got a built-in camera and monitor. It's a really good one too. So weight restrictions is that certain gimbals, like the one I just showed you, there's a limit to the weight of camera or lens you can put on this thing, where the motors won't be strong enough to even work. So I don't know what the exact limit is on this, but my camera is just about that weight, especially with a heavy pro lens on there. So that's what the weight restrictions are. And again, Not a problem with the smartphone gimbals. The next part is setup time. If you have a gimbal and you're going to a shoot, don't expect to start working right away because there's a certain time, there's an amount of time you got to set up the gimbal. You have to balance it. Again, the smartphone gimbal is not really an issue, but the larger ones, when you mount the camera on there, it has to be balanced perfectly. It does take some time, and it can be very frustrating at first to get used to it. So you just take the time, balance the gimbal properly, and it'll work good. If it's not balanced properly, you'll strain the motors, and you'll get some lot of camera shake, and that's not how good it works. So you got to take the time, set it up, get a successful shot. And next slide. All right, gimbal techniques. So when you start using a gimbal, you don't want to just start running around and just shooting everything all at once. You want to kind of plan your shot out for each move you do. So if you have you gotta just look what you want to do, figure out what kind of move you want to do, and then execute, and do that for each shot. And that way, each shot has a little more thought to it. Learn to become one with your gimbal. That's more about what I was talking about, where you really got to use, like, your body as an extension of your gimbal. The gimbal does a lot by itself, but unless you control it well with your body, it's not going to be a successful shoot. So you got to learn something called a ninja walk. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, where you're actually, your body's kind of loose, and you're walking. When you walk heel to toe, very slowly and smoothly, and that'll give you a more stable shot. And you can also do that backwards, and you eventually can do it sideways. So again, you gotta use your full body as well as the gimbal to get a successful gimbal shot. Next one is don't overuse movement. When you're doing a shoot using gimbals, you don't want to have every single shot just a crazy movement shot. You you can have those in there, but then also have something slower, or even a still shot, just to break it up. Because if you have a series of just nonstop moving shots, when you play it back, you just got to make the viewer a little dizzy. It's just a lot of action at once. Next line is practice, practice, practice. Yes, the gimbals require a lot of practice. It's not just like shooting a video camera or anything like that. The gimbals, you got to learn how to move with them. You got to learn certain techniques, what makes a good dynamic move. I have a video coming up that shows some techniques how to do that. And it's a lot of practice, and eventually you'll get it. You'll learn how to move with it. You learn how to get the most stable video possible from it. And you'll know how to make some really dynamic shots. Next slide. All right, so this is the video I was talking about. So this is 8 different cinematic gimbal moves. So we shot this in Princeton, and you roll it because I talked to this video. This move can be called a slider or a dolly shot. I'm using the gimbal to mimic what a slider or dolly would do by moving parallel to the subject. I'm keeping the gimbal steady while walking heel to toe as smoothly as possible. Like all gimbal moves, it takes a lot of practice. I'm calling this one the low angle to jib shot. I'm moving the gimbal low and walking heel to toe. As I continue to move forward, I slowly bring up the gimbal to reveal, well, not much, but that's a jib shot. This gimbal move is called orbiting. For this shot, I'm moving around at a low angle while keeping the camera focused on the sculpture. Here's another example of an orbiting shot, but at more of an eye level. This shot is called the follow. Gimbals do a great job with helping with stability, but you really need to learn how to move your body while using one. Your movements must be smooth and fluid like a ninja, hence the term ninja walk. Practice walking or running with your gimbal while making little sounds as possible with your feet. Less noise is less vibration. This is the low angle circular tracking shot, or at least that's what I'm calling it. It's similar to an orbiting shot, but I'm shooting it from the inside. I'm at a low angle and moving forward, keeping focused on these animal heads. I'm not walking that fast, but there's a nice feeling of movement. This is a two-part shot that starts as a jib shot. As I move up past the car, it becomes a reveal shot. Here's another example of a reveal jib shot. This is a reverse follow shot. I had the camera pointed forward, but I'm walking backwards toe to heel. Moving backwards can be tricky, so have someone spot you if possible. I call the shot the tracking orbit. I'm walking heel to toe as smooth as possible. As I get closer to the subjects, I begin to orbit around them, which finishes the shot nicely. All right, so that was 8 gimbal cinematic moves. All right, so the next one, what have we got here? Oh, so it's editing the video. So just say you did a whole day of shooting your gimbal shots. Now it's time to start editing. So first thing you do is you get all your footage in the computer and review all your footage and see what looks best, cut out all the bad stuff. You know, it's typical editing, but you want to spread out your gimbal moves so there's not too much all at once. Do whatever, any way you want. So then put that together, create a rough cut, add your music and effects, and then you finalize your edit with some music, export it, and see how it looks. So, you know, that's editing your video. It's pretty basic stuff there. So now what we got next? We have the this is a brand new video. Yeah, we just finished working on this. We shot this at the Glenford Mansion in Philadelphia with the modeling group Model Me Photography. So it's a perfect place to just use a gimbal and get a lot of great shots because there's models everywhere, photographers shooting like that. So let's just show the video. And there's also, after that, there's a behind the scenes video from the same shoot. All right, so this is the behind the scenes video. I use the Feiyu AK4500 DSLR gimbal, which I showed you earlier, and the SBG2 smartphone gimbal. So you can play that video now. All right, so that was behind the scenes. Oh, so gimbals, you know, you don't have to just use them for videos like that. You can also use them for your home videos because a gimbal is going to give you obviously a much stabler video than handheld. So this next video I'm showing is just a family video I shot on a hike at Sauerland Mountain Preserve. So it just shows that you can use a gimbal for everything, and it just comes out, makes your videos look a little better. So you can play that. Hey, this is Dan Komoda. I'm at Sauerland Mountain in New Jersey on a hike, and I have the Feiyu SBG2 gimbal. I'm going to see how it works on some very rough terrain. All right. So next slide. So for photographers, you can also use gimbals with time lapse or something called hyperlapse. Time lapse, if you know what that is, but hyperlapse is like a moving time lapse. So you can actually use a gimbal and walk around while it's in time lapse mode, and you'll capture some amazing visuals. So I don't have any personal examples of this, but I found two videos on YouTube, which I'll show you right now. That's great. So the hyperlapse is pretty cool. I'm looking forward to trying out one of those. You can actually do that just with a smartphone gimbal. Put it on your time lapse mode and just walk around. You'll get a shot like that. Now, for just a standard time lapse, you would use one like the AK-4500 here. You can actually set an endpoint. If I could move this camera around, an endpoint, and that's how in that first video you can see how the time lapse moved across. So you can do that with these larger gimbals like this. And that's all I have for now. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, so thank you, Dan.
welcome.
Any question? You can just unmute your mic and yeah. Yeah, I can see most of them. Maybe some of the people here, I can recognize some of the name here. So some of them are photographer. So I just want to ask you, for those like for photographer who want to start doing video, do you have any advice for them uh, how to start? And yeah, what is your advice to for those photographers who want to get into the world of videography?
Well, again, with the time lapse or hyperlapse, that's the initial thing you can start doing. And then when you start using video, using it for video, if you haven't really worked in video, it's a learning curve, obviously. But especially with the DSLR and gimbals, the video in that is very similar to how you take photos, but it's just you're adding movement to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can see from from the chat room that the video is not playing so smooth.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
watching. It's very choppy on my end too.
yeah, I have no idea what's going
Sorry
on
about that,
with
everyone.
yeah, I have no idea what is going on with the Zoom. But we are going to edit the video and then we are going to upload it on our YouTube channel on Feiyu Tag, and then I will send you guys a link of the video. Yeah. Okay. Any question? Let me check. Any question on the Facebook? Okay, one question here. What are the best practice for orbits? What setup should I have? Yeah.
Oh, for an orbit, well, you find a subject you want to orbit around, hold the gimbal in front of you, and just kind of walk sideways around, keeping the camera focused on the object you're focusing on, you're shooting on. That's it.
So what mode we should use on the gimbal?
What mode? Just the
Yeah.
I guess the mode would be the follow mode. Where it kind of just locks in on the center object.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there a place to place the mic? I think he referred to the gimbal.
Like attachments.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's sometimes like on the bigger one here, there's oops, my lock came off. Yeah, if you have a camera mic, it could go on top there. But the problem is sometimes when the gimbal's spinning around, it could hit one of the sides here. So there are some accessory areas you can attach, like an arm if you want, attach a mic to it. Or for a gimbal like this, they actually sell a cage that goes around it. So it's a double-handled cage, and you can mount a monitor on there, and a light or a microphone. Now, I guess the one thing I didn't go over is how do you see what you're doing when you're using a DSLR gimbal? Because there's some the camera's on there. I'm just using that little. This monitor is pretty small, so you got to get you can get another external monitor and just attach it right here, so it's real close to you. Then you can monitor your footage really good.
Okay. Any more question? So someone in the YouTube asked about the color grade of the video. You have any tips for that?
Color grading. It's a tricky thing. I'm doing everything in Adobe Premiere. I use that. I think it's all Lumetri or something like that. There's a color grading effect in there, and I do all my color grading through that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So any more question? Dan, you have anything to add?
No. What do I have? What can I say? Anything else to add? I need a question, I guess.
Okay. If not, then then I think we will end the meeting today. Thank you, Dan, and thank you everyone who attended the seminar today. So sorry about the video. We will edit the video and then we will just upload to the YouTube channel, and then I'll send you guys a link. Okay, thank you everyone. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.